Hi everyone. So this is Vision IAS monthly magazine for the month of April 2026. So we are going to start this series of discussion where we will be doing monthly magazine of the Vision IAS because it will going to help you directly and indirectly in the prelims examination of 2027 of the UPSC or various civil services examination of the states where they ask questions from the current affairs. For example, it will be helpful in PCS. It will be helpful in Bihar PCS. Okay, so there are so many advantages of doing this, and of course, it will be also helpful in the mains. Okay, because if you see the current trends of the UPSC, both in the prelims and the mains, you will notice that they are asking question more from the current. Okay, and even if they are asking the question from the static part of the polity and the economics, they are linking this, or the inspiration of that static question is based on the current event. Okay, so that is why it is very important for us to have one monthly magazine along with the news daily newspaper understanding. Okay, so here we have this content. Okay, so we have polity and governance. Okay, so first of all, we are going to understand about the trust based governance and census 2027, and there is some certain news which will be in the short. The first is the AI Governance and Economic Group. Okay, then Constitution 131st Amendment Bill 2026 defeated in the Lok Sabha. Then promotion and regulation of online gaming rules, notified nominated members, removal of judges, recusal of judges, and Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and National Council of Education Research and Training. Okay, and in the subsequent subsequent to the polity and governance, we will be discussing international relations, where we will be doing in India or Nepal relations, Indian Ocean region, news in shorts. Okay, there are various things we will be covering in the short. Then economy, India's resilient production system in agriculture, insolvency and bankruptcy quote, and then gig economy, then payments vision 2028, and digital payment or frauds, and then production linked incentive PLI scheme, then periodic labor force survey. Okay, so all these things we are going to cover. Okay, then there will be certain section on the security. Okay, then environment, science and tech. Okay, and then culture, ethics and schemes in news. So what we are going to do, so conventional, we are not going to follow the conventional part, that is starting from the polity. Rather, we will starting from the science and tech and the environment. Okay, because these are the two most important part of the UPSC preparation, especially in the prelims. Okay, because in the environment they are asking questions somewhere around 15 to 17, and the science and tech around 10 questions. Okay, so if you prepare these two very well, so 25 questions will be there, 25 to 28, and out of that you will be able to solve around 18 questions. Okay, there will be some difficult question from environment and science and tech, of course, that will be around 10 questions. Okay, so easily we can solve 80% of the question of science and tech and 70% of the environment. Okay, so let us start with the science and tech first. Okay, because it is very interesting to understand science and tech. Okay, so science and tech, if you see the first topic, then the first topic is the Artemis second moon mission. Okay, so Artemis second is related to the moon mission. Okay, so why this is new? So Artemis-2 astronauts returned to Earth after historic NASA mission to Moon. So Artemis-2 Moon mission is undertaken by NASA. Okay, national NASA. Okay, now let us understand about the Artemis 2 moon mission. Okay, so mission type. So it was a crewed lunar flywall mission under the NASA's Artemis program. A launch date, it was launched on 1st April 2026. Duration was 10 days. 10 days. Launch vehicle. So a space launch system. A space launch system is a NASA's super heavy lift rocket that is capable of sending the Orion spacecraft. Okay, so the name of the spacecraft was Orion spacecraft, astronauts and cargo directly to the moon in a single mission. Okay, so what was the launch vehicle? So a space launch system. Okay, So it is capable of sending the Orient spacecraft, astronauts, and cargo directly to the moon in the single mission. So this is how they have sent people from Earth to moon. Okay, so like here you have Florida. Okay, so this is where NASA has sent. Okay, so here you can see the path. They have followed paths like this. Okay, and then they have gone like this, and then have they have returned like this and landed here. Okay, now spacecraft. So what was the spacecraft? Orion spacecraft. Okay, so it was built by NASA and Lockheed Martin. Orion is capable of carrying astronauts into deep space and safely returning them to Earth from the moon's vicinity at high speed. Okay, so Orion is capable of carrying astronauts into deep space and safely returning them to Earth from the moon's vicinity at a high speed. So remember that Artemis-2 flight or the Artemis-2 mission to moon, they have not landed on the moon, but they have just revolved around the moon and they have come back. Okay, so they have gone to the vicinity of the moon and they have returned to the Earth. Okay, so if at all any statement with respect to Artemis-2 is coming, where they have mentioned that Artemis-2 mission has aimed at landing to the moon, then it will become false. Okay, now key mission objectives. So what were the objectives of the mission? So crew, they have demonstrate the ability of systems and teams to sustain the flight crew in the flight environment and through their return to Earth. Now systems demonstrate systems and operations essential to a crewed lunar campaign. This ranges from ground systems to hardware in space and operations spanning from development to launch, flight, and recovery. Now, emergency operations. Okay, demonstrate emergency system capabilities, validate associated operations to the extent practical, such as abort, abort operations and rescue procedure as needed. Now, Artemis program. So there were various Artemis missions, and there have been by NASA. So Artemis 1 was in 2022. So it was basically uncrewed test mission of the SLC and Orion that orbited the moon and safely returned the Earth. So the first mission was uncrewed test. Okay, and Artemis second, it was first crewed mission of the program, bringing a four-person crew a lunar flyway without touching down the surface. Okay, they have not landed means they have not landing on the surface of the moon. Now, Artemis 3, originally planned as a lunar landing mission, it will now send the crew to low Earth orbit to test docking procedures for future lunar landings. Then you have Artemis 4 that is planned for 2028. The mission will land two astronauts near the moon's south pole using a Starship while to remain in lunar orbit aboard Orion. Then you have Artemis 5 and beyond. Fusion missions aim to build a lunar base, deploy rovers, and extract resources like water and oxygen, with NASA planning to launch every 6 months. Then you have Artemis Accords, established in 2020 by NASA and U.S. State Department for Peaceful Space Cooperation. Okay, so Artemis Accords is it has been established between NASA and the U.S. State Department for Peaceful Space Cooperation. It reaffirms signatories' commitment to Outer Space Treaty, Registration Convention, Rescue and Return Agreement, and responsible norms for civil space exploration and use. Member states 67. India is also a member. Okay. Now Apollo versus Artemis. So the Artemis program is the modern successor to the Apollo program. Okay. So the program of the NASA to the moon was known as the Apollo program. Now the modern successor to this Apollo program is the Artemis. Now, Apollo program is a NASA's earliest human spacecraft programs, including the Apollo moon landing. Okay, so human spacecraft programs of NASA is known as the Apollo program. Apollo was driven by Cold War. Apollo was driven by what? Cold War, whereas Artemis emphasizes peaceful global cooperation. Apollo conducted short surface visits. Artemis aims for a permanent lunar base for to prepare for Mars. Now, what have been the scientific experiment that they have carried out? So, astronaut health studies, ARC health. Okay, to monitor astronauts' well-being, activity, and sleep pattern to gather data on human health and performance in deep space. Avatar uses the organ-on-a-chip devices to study the effects of microgravity and increased radiation on the health of the crew. Immune biomarkers to analyze blood and saliva samples to determine how deep space travel alter the immune system. Artemis 2 standard measures to provide a consistent set of health data to bank to assist future researchers in studying astronauts' health. Radiation studies to monitor radiation levels inside and outside the Orion capsule to characterize the deep space environment. Now let us talk about the lunar science. Okay, so lunar science, you have geological observations. Okay, so what is this? So the when the crew study and photographed lava flow and impact craters to understand the region's geological history during a 3 hour flyby of Moon's far side. Then you have international CubeSat experiments. So Argentina's Cortinia to measure Earth's radiation spectrum, assess radiation shielding methods, collect GPS data, and validate a long-range communication links. Then you have TACHILS, Germany's Aerospace Center, to measure how the space environment affects electrical components to help design future lunar vehicle technologies. Then you have KREV Cube, South Korea's KASA, to measure biological effects and space radiation across the Van Allen radiation belts. SM, SHMS, Saudi Space Agency, to measure space weather at a range of distances from Earth. Now, what are the significance of this? So, historical milestone, it is the first crewed mission to the moon in 50 years since the Apollo 17 in 1971. Okay, so if they have asked that Artemis 2 was the first crew mission to the moon in 50 years, so it is correct. Okay, so the first was Apollo 17. After that, it is the first one. Okay, human. So overall, it is a second. Okay, so Artemis 2 is the second crew mission to the moon. Okay, overall second, but in last or recent time, it is the first. Human safety in deep space, so it rigorously tests the European Space Agency service module and Orion life support systems, paving the way for sustained long-term human space exploration. Okay. Then historic crew representation. The flight breaks barriers by sending the first women Christian coach, the first person of color Victor Glover, and the first non-American astronaut, Canadian Space Agency Jeremy Hansen to the moon vicinity. Okay, so this is a very important thing. Extreme distances. The trajectory takes the four-person crew farther into deep space, closer to the moon. Okay, closer to the moon, and beyond the far side than any humans have traveled in the history. Future mission. The mission serves as a gateway for future crewed lunar missions. Sorry. Uh, Now, what is the conclusion? So, Artemis 2 marks a pivotal transition from lunar exploration to long-term residence. Okay, so it is planning. So, NASA is basically planning to set up a permanent settlement at in the moon. Okay, for that purpose, Artemis 2 is a very pivotal transition. Okay, by successfully testing crude deep space systems, it solidifies the foundation for a permanent South Pole base and future Martian voyages. This mission proves that international cooperation and diversity are now the driving forces of humanity's celestial expansion. Okay, so very proud moment for the NASA and the Americans and also for the world. Okay. So now, what is the Artemis program? So we have already done. I think in this one we have not covered. Okay, okay. So mission. What was the mission goal? So Artemis program is NASA's initiative to return astronauts to the moon, establish a permanent presence at the lunar south pole, and lay the foundation for future human exploration of Mars. Uh, Mars. Okay. Origin of the name. The program is named after the Greek goddess of the hunt, the twin sister of Apollo, highlighting the program's connection to but distinction from the Apollo missions. Okay, so this we have covered. This we have also covered. Now comes the nuclear energy in India. Okay, so let us see. Okay, just a minute. Yes, nuclear energy in India. This is very significant for both prelims as well as mains, because if you see the prelims question paper of the last 5 years, they have asked I think 3 or 4 times question from nuclear energy. Okay, and of course in the mains examination also they are asking questions. Okay, so let us understand this. So what has happened recently? India's indigenously designed and built 500 megawatt electric prototype fast breeder reactor at Kalpakkam in Tamil Nadu, attend critically advancing the second stage of the third of three-stage civil nuclear program. Okay, civil nuclear program. So it has been India's indigenously designed and built 500 megawatt electric prototype fast breeder reactor at Kalpakkam in Tamil Nadu. Okay, Kalpakkam in Tamil Nadu. Basically, here is you have nuclear center. Okay, so attends critically advancing second stage of the three-stage nuclear civil program. Now more on news. So it has been developed by Indira Gandhi Center for Atomic Research, Indira Gandhi Center for Atomic Research and research development under Department of Atomic Energy. Department of Atomic Energy. Okay, operated by Bhartiya Navikiya Vidyut Nigam Limited, Bhavani, a public limited company under Companies Act 1956 under Department of Atomic Energy to pursue construction and operation of fast breeder reactors. Once fully operational, India will become only the second country after Russia to have a uh, commercial fast breeder reactor. Okay, so if this becomes fully operational, then India will become the only second country after Russia to have commercial fast breeder reactor. Okay, okay. This is a decisive step towards harnessing India's vast thorium reserves. Okay, this is towards harnessing India's vast thorium reserves in the third stage of the program. So we have vast thorium. Okay, we have see you we India does not have uranium in a significant amount. Okay, but we have thorium. Okay, criticality. So stage, what is criticality? So this is a stage where a reactor achieves self-sustaining chain reaction with electrons produced by fission, equaling those lost at absorption and leakage, enabling sustained power output. Now, nuclear energy currently uses controlled atomic fission, a splitting of heavy atoms to release heat, which is used to generate electricity. Now, nuclear fuels are classified as fissile, and here you have plutonium 239, uranium 233, and uranium 239 35. Only fissile isotope of uranium in nature can be used directly as nuclear fuels and fertile, needed to be converted in fissile. In India, natural uranium is limited and is mostly uranium 238, while uranium 239 only 0.7, while thorium is abundant. Okay, so you have thorium abundant. So you have thorium which is presence in abundance. Okay, and natural uranium is limited. Okay, natural uranium is limited. So that is the thing. Okay, now let us talk about the thorium. So it exists in nature in a single isotope form 232. Okay, 232. 232 thorium. Thorium bearing monazite. So you have thorium. The presence of thorium is found in India in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and in the inland riverine sands of Jharkhand and West Bengal. Okay, so you have thorium in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Gujarat, and inland riverine sands of Jharkhand and West Bengal. So you have thorium in Odisha, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and inland riverine saints of the Jharkhand and West Bengal. India is the largest share of reserves, around 25%, followed by Brazil. It is more abundant than uranium, yet no commercial reactor currently runs on it, as it is non-fissile. Okay, just a minute. Yes. Now uranium. So production, it is uranium production. It is dominated by Kazakhstan, 39%, then Canada 24%, and Namibia. Reserves: Australia has the largest share, 28%, followed by Kazakhstan and Canada. India has 4 lakh 25,000 tons in reserve, but high extraction costs force heavy imports. Natural uranium goes through enrichment for increasing uranium 235 concentration using gaseous diffusion, gas centrifuge, and laser enrichment technologies. Now let us talk about the plutonium. So it has five isotopes in nature, all fissionable. Okay, in relation to uranium and thorium, it is mainly produced in nuclear reactors from uranium 238. Plutonium 239 contains the highest quantities of fissile material. Also, plutonium 238 is used in deep space mission as it emits steady heat from natural radioactive decay. Okay, now you have, so this is important for the mains. Okay, so India has the three-stage nuclear energy program. Okay, so this is the, let me explain you. Okay, just a minute. Yes. So India's three-stage nuclear power program. So stage one is characterized by pressurized heavy water reactors. Okay, pressurized heavy water reactors. So natural uranium consisting of 0.7% uranium 235 undergoes fission to release energy. The remaining 99.3% is uranium 238 is converted into plutonium 239. Okay, 239. Then you have the second stage. Okay, second stage is where the fast breeder reactor comes. Okay, fueled by a mixed oxide of plutonium 239 and 238, and plutonium 239 undergoes fission, producing energy and more plutonium 239. Then you have thorium. Okay, you have thorium 239 will be introduced once sufficient inventory of plutonium 239 is built up. Then stage 3, this is the stage characterized by advanced heavy water reactor. Okay, filled by a mix of thorium and uranium. Okay, thorium 232 transmutates to uranium 233, which powers the reactor. Okay, so three stages. So first stage will you will have pressurized heavy water reactors. Okay, first stage you will have pressurized heavy water reactors. Second stage you will have fast breeder reactors, and third stage you will have advanced heavy water reactor. Okay, so pressurized in the first stage where you will have pressurized heavy water reactor, you will be using uranium and uranium. Okay, uranium 225. It is in lesser amount, and uranium 239. Okay, that will be converted into plutonium. In the second stage the fuel will be plutonium and uranium. Okay, and in the advanced stage you will be having mixture of thorium and uranium. Okay, now let me explain further. So it was conceived or imagined by Dr. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, architect of India's nuclear program. So you know Dr. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, he was the father of India's nuclear program. Okay, designed by DAE, it aims to ensure long-term energy security by utilizing vast thorium reserve, that is convert the abundant fertile thorium fissile uranium and to fissile uranium and reduce import dependency for uranium. Now, current nuclear power landscape in India. So, installed capacity 8.78 gigawatt in 2024 to 25, and projected to reach 22.38 gigawatt by 2031 to 32. Now, a stable contribution. It has consistently accounted for around 3% of total electricity generation. Now, what are the challenges in developing nuclear energy for India? So dual use of nature of uranium. Generally, uh, more than 20% uranium 235 is used in commercial nuclear reactors. However, highly enriched uranium is largely used for nuclear weapons. Okay, so if you want to make the nuclear weapons, so you need to have highly enriched uranium. Okay, so like nuclear bomb. Okay, supply bottlenecks. So due to dual use nature of uranium, it is strictly regulated by nuclear supplier group and treaties like non proliferation treaty. India, not being member of both, faces hurdles in assured supply. Okay, that is the thing. Okay, so India is not member of either of these two groups, that is nuclear suppliers group and the non-proliferation treaty. Okay, then import dependency and strategic autonomy. India imports majority of uranium. In 2024, it produced only 500 tons out of global production of 60,213, less than 1%. It imports majority from Kazakhstan, largest, Canada, Uzbekistan, and Russia. Now, using thorium, so current nuclear infrastructure is largely designed for uranium, and extraction of thorium from monazite can be complex and costly. Okay, so current nuclear infrastructure is largely designed for uranium, and extraction of thorium from monazite can be complex and costly. Disaster risk, high capital cost and long gestation period. Public fear, especially after 2011 Fukushima disaster in Japan, difficult radioactive waste management. Civil liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010 allows channelizing of liability from operator to supplier against the convention of supplementary compensation, which channels liability exclusively to operators. This leads to hesitation in foreign and domestic suppliers to supply equipment to operators. Now, importance of nuclear energy. So what is the importance of the nuclear energy? So you all know that nuclear energy is a green energy. Okay, so sustainability produces electricity without greenhouse gas emission, enabling net zero emission. Then self reliance reduces dependence on imported coal, extending energy security. Rising energy demands fulfills increasing electricity demands with a reliable power source. Then overcomes intermittency, provides round the clock base load power unlike solar and wind. Then high energy density requires less fuel or logistics and a smaller land footprint. Strategic leverage enhances global standing and strengthens case for NSG inclusion. I think just one page more. Okay. So now, what has been the steps by the government to drive the nuclear vision? Okay, this is very important. So nuclear energy mission, so launched in budget 2025 to achieve target of 100 gigawatt nuclear capacity by 2047 by allocating 20. So we have to achieve 100 gigawatt of nuclear capacity by 2047. Okay, it has been allocated 20,000 crore rupees and for research and development of a small modular reactors. A small modular reactors, so at least five indigenously designed small modular reactors are to be operational by 2033. International cooperation for assured uranium supply. India signed civil nuclear cooperation agreements with 18 countries like Canada, Kazakhstan, etc. That is, for example, US India nuclear deal 2008. Okay, then Santi Act 2025 to consolidates and modernize India's nuclear legal framework. It enables limited private participation in the nuclear sector under regulatory oversight. Okay, so there is a limited private parts. Earlier, what was there? So the nuclear sector was not open to private participation, private players. Now they have with the regulation, with the limited participation, they have allowed to private players. Okay, Bhava Atomic Research Center is the leading development of the next generation reactor designs. For example, 200 megawatt of Bharat a small modular reactor, the 55 megawatt of a small modular reactor 55, and a high temperature gas cooled reactor of up to 5 megawatt of thorium megawatt thermal design for hydrogen generation. Now conclusion. So like Russia and China, India can develop. Okay, like Russia and China, India can develop high say low in this uranium fuel, which makes less waste and generate extreme heat, and will be required by future advanced reactors and small modular reactors. Additionally, diversify import partners and further explore domestic uranium sources for short-term autonomy. Now, what are the related news? So, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Okay, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Okay, so it has approved excavation for Unit 1 and Unit 2 of Mahi Banswara Atomic Nuclear Power Project. Okay, Mahi Banswara Atomic Nuclear Power Project, having four nuclear power units of indigenous each with 700 megawatt of capacity. About Mahi Banswara Rajasthan Atomic Power Project. Okay, so Mahi Banswara Atomic Power Nuclear Power Project is in Rajasthan. Location Banswara, Rajasthan, near the Mahi Dam on River Mahi. Development by, so this you can see. Okay, so now let me check how many pages are still to be covered. So three, four. Okay, four pages are there. Now, One Health approach. So, Global One Health Summit, which has been backed by UN, One Health approach was held in Lyon, France, with the participation of world leaders, scientists, and environmental experts. But on the news, the summit aims to promote action-oriented multilateralism and accelerate the translation of One Health commitments. At the summit, the WHO announces four major One Health actions: a new global network of institutions on One Health. It will enhance translation of global guidance into practical tools and on the ground support, extending training through the WHO Academy, creating a country focused delivery model for One Health implementation, then stronger science to guide global action, then a new push to estimate rabies by 2030, a unified strategy to tackle avian influenza threats. What is the One Health approach? So, One Health approach is a collaborative, multi-sectoral, and transdisciplinary approach with the goal of achieving optimal health outcomes, recognizing the interconnection between people, animals, plants, and their shared environment. Okay, so you have everything you are going to cover. Human health, animal health are interdependent. At the same time, both depend on the environment. Okay, so the approach can be applied at the community, subnational, national, region, and global level. Yes, need of One Health approach in India. So genetic disease prevention, livestock protection, and climate change impact. The rise of antimicrobial resistance. Okay, overuse of antibiotics in humans and livestock is creating drug-resistant pathogens. Okay, okay. Now, challenges to One Health approach in India. So, you have siloed ministries, health, agriculture, environment, indeed operate independently with the conflicting departmental priorities. Surveillance gap existing platforms like integrated disease surveillance program mainly focus on reporting rather than coordinated response. Low public awareness. Okay, capacity building, constant research and innovation deficit, weak local level governance. Now, initiatives taken by India. So, NASA One Health Mission to build an integrated disease control and pandemic preparedness system in India by bringing human, animal, environmental sector together for better health outcomes, improved productivity, and conservation of biodiversity. So, way forward, you can see. Now, news in short. So, Genome India project. So, Genome India project data reveals 44 million unique Indian genetic variants. Okay. Key findings of the study show that variants over 129 million genetic variants were identified. Endogamy marriage within communities has resulted in endogamy marriage within communities has resulted in genetically distinct and isolated groups. Okay, contrasting population dynamics, non-tribal population, greater genetic mixing, and population growth. Tribal populations, low effective population size, high genetic drift, and strong founder effects. About Genome India project in 2020 by Department of Biotechnology, the Ministry of Science and Technology. It is an Indian equivalent of Human Genome Project, a global level effort to map human genomes, launched in October 1990 and completed in April 2003. Objective to build a comprehensive catalog of genetic variations that reflects the unique diversity of the of the of the Indian population. Sample size and diversity. The study collected samples from 10,000 healthy and unrelated individuals. Okay, all these things. So genome is what? It is an entire set of genetic material, that is DNA, RNA, DNA in most organisms present in the individual species. Genome sequence is the process of determining the complete genetic material sequence of an organism's genome. Now, first ever gene therapy for treatment of genetic hearing loss. So the therapy called autonomy made by Regeneron Pharmaceuticals was approved by United States Food and Drugs Administration. Okay, okay. Now, what is this therapy? So it refers to a collection of methods that allows correction of a gene defect. Okay. So gene therapy is what? It refers to the collection of methods that allows correction of gene defect. It involves insertion of genes into a person's cell and tissues to treat a disease. A vector is a carrier used to deliver the therapeutic gene into target cells. Okay. National roadmap for post quantum cryptography migratory. Okay, so not very important. Starlink satellite internet. Okay, so Meghalaya becomes the third Indian state after Maharashtra and Gujarat to partner with Starlink formally. Starlink was launched in 2019 by SpaceX and plans to have 42,000 satellites in low Earth orbit. About satellite internet. So, satellite internet refers to the internet service provided through satellites placed in geostationary orbits or non-geostationary orbits. LEO and MEO are NGS. Okay. Land-based internet service such as fiber, cable, etc. It does not rely on wires and transmit data, proving acceleration and deployment speed and in long distance transmission. Infrastructure generally includes three segments. So you have three segments. A space segment includes a network of several communication satellites. Ground segment includes a satellite measurement and control networks, gateway station, etc. And then user segment includes communication terminals used by users. Now advantages over existing land-based internet services: global reach, and then rapid deployment, disaster resilience. Okay, regulatory landscape for satellite internet services. So, Department of Telecommunications grant licenses and regulates under the Unified License Regime. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India recommends respective assignment terms for satellite services. Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center promotes, authorizes, and supervises private space activities. So, you have satellite internet system. Okay, so you can see terrestrial network. Okay, so gateway, landline phone, soft phone. Now, Project Heaven, I think, yes, see, this is the last page. Project Maven, sorry, not Heaven, Project Maven. Okay, so Project Maven, an AI program, is now central to US strikes against Iran. Okay, what is Project Maven? So, it aims to automate detection of objects and patterns in vast volumes of drone imagery and reducing manual analysis burden. Uses machine learning and computer vision to identify targets, movements, and activities in real time. Mission Mitra. So ISRO launched Mission Mitra to test Gaganyaan crew for mental, physical, and crew operability strengths. About Mission Mitra, so mapping of interoperable traits and response assessment. It is behavioral study by ISRO for human spacecraft missions conducted in partnership with Indian Air Force Institute of Aerospace Medicine. Objective to assess psychological, physiological, and operation performance of Gaganyaan crew under stress. Now serum magnesium changesite. New mineral serum magnesium changesite has been discovered in lunar meteor name found in desert in China. Okay, Takla Makan desert in China. Okay, so it is a rare earth bearing phosphate mineral with distinct physical and chemical characteristics. Physical colorless, transparent with the glass like luster. It is also fragile and so cell-like fracture and glows under UV light. Okay. Scientific significance helps understand volcanic process on the moon and disturbance or distribution of rare earth elements. Its fluorescence makes it valuable in development of more efficient LEDs. Okay. So that's all. That's all for today's. Okay. So basically, I think we have done covered all the sections. Okay, all the topics of the science and tech. So 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6, 7, 8. 10. So there were 11 pages. So we have covered in 41 minutes. Okay. So in the next video, we will try to cover other topics as well. Okay. So on every Sunday, I will be bringing one current affairs discussion of basically one subject of discussion of one subject of the PT360. Sorry, not PT365. Vision IS monthly batch. Okay, so today we have covered science and tech. Okay, and then in the subsequent we will be taking up maybe environment. Okay, and then so for Sunday and four major subject we will be able to cover at least four major subjects. Okay, so thank you.